Okay, let them all in.
But you know what? There's more of them than there are of you.
You're tequila.
Do you know how few of you are? You guys are hilarious. Look at you. You're white supremacists.
A white man and a white woman is far right. Is that right?
Am I a white supremacist?
I'm part Māori for God's sake.
I mean, you're still trying to argue.
Google Takia. It's lies. You're bringing lies.
Stop supporting rape. Stop supporting rape.
Tell you, but you won't take
Stop supporting rape.
You're one of the child rapists here. The biggest majority of child rapists are middle-aged white males.
Strife and war, may the praises fill our heart, God defend New Zealand. You're so outnumbered. This is like how Trump got it.
I'm outnumbered?
Yeah, look at
I've got 500,000 people behind me.
Where are they? Can't see any of them.
See you, losers!
What we want is we want our country and our sovereignty to remain in our hands.
You were consistently loud enough that it annoyed the government so much that they ended up trying to say, hey, calm down, hey, want to smoke some weed? Hey, there you go. Because this government says that your competence level is not able to discuss sovereignty, but it is able to discuss weed. That's the level that this government says of you. This is the contempt that they have of the people of New Zealand. And on the last hour of the last day of Parliament, Winston Peters, the leader of New Zealand Last, NZF, decided to say, hey, oh, by the way, we signed it, bye-bye. That is disgusting, that is not democratic, and that is, again, a contemptuousness against the people of this great nation. If this migration pact is signed, we stand to be one of the top 3 countries which will have an influx of anyone. And that, by its very nature, lessens the value of New Zealand. New Zealand is a great nation. We must stand together because the front line that was not made by us. It was made by the sacrifices of our fathers yesterday. It's time to stand together, to be united. It's time to stand up for families, to stand for values.
Favourite bit of the day? Probably Elliot's rousing speech at the end. It was great, got the crowd all amped up. It was good. That's what we need to see a bit more of that passion.
This government has cemented for itself a reputation of sneakiness and duplicitous application of smoke and mirror tactics as it heaps its socialist ideology upon New Zealanders. We know what the UN Compact on Migration says already. We know that giving vague powers to politicians is like giving car keys and whiskey to teenagers.
Right now, free speech is out of season, but we're bringing it back into season.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Reject the UN Migration Compact 2019. Some things about me: my name's Jesse, I'm one of the organisers of the event and one of the founders of New Zealand Sovereignty. I'm 24, I'm a Christian and I'm a dad, and all of these things are reasons why I'm out here today to tell the government to reject the UN Migration Compact. We've got a duty to stand up to the government when they're wrong, and we have a duty to stand up for the future generations to keep them safe and to make sure that the country we know and love is the same country that they get to grow up in. And we get called racist for daring to go against the UN's agenda of open borders. Why? Because the globalist cucks who are pushing this kind of an idiotic policy shift are so racist they think migrants only come in one colour. They actually think that migrant means brown person. And so if we don't want too many migrants coming, we don't want too many brown... Do you see how that's kind of racist coming from the left? Thanks. I have a problem with an agreement which has only one defence provided in its favour. It's non-binding. What we're seeing over in Australia is not integration. What we're seeing in Europe and in Canada and the US is not integration. What we need is a new policy, a hard and fast rule. Integrate or leave. Get out. So thank you all for coming out. We really do appreciate it. It wasn't easy organizing this. It wasn't cheap and it wasn't fun. But I would do it over again and again to fight to make sure this country stays great for the sake of my son and for the sake of the future generations.
Any particular highlights?
People agreeing with me when I was speaking. Elliot's speech was really good. Yeah, there was a lot of sort of crowd involvement, so it's good to have a passionate crowd. You can really feel the energy coming off of them, and you know that they're actually really motivated to come out and actually try and make a difference, as opposed to just standing there watching like a bunch of, doing nothing. So heaps of people coming up to me afterwards and just telling me, their backstory and all sorts of things, how they found out about us and they thought they were the only person, but it turns out there's a lot more of us that think like they do. So.
I feel absolutely gutted. I feel wounded. As you said before, Section 13 and 14, they're talking about the right for freedom of expression. I have a freedom of my own opinion. My own opinion is probably going to differ slightly to yours from time to time, or from anybody else's. But that's okay, as long as I'm not out to hurt, intimidate and abuse anybody. I have the right to share those opinions without interference, the Act says. So, yeah.
Police are going around this country forcibly entering properties of people without warrants and interviewing them because their opinions do not match those of the people in power in this country. The socialists, the communists, yes, the communists. Ardern was leader of the Communist Youth Party just 10 years ago. So tell yourself, what's the influence in this country? Why is the UN so influential in this country? And what's his name, the ugly one on TV? Oh, Patrick Gower, that's right. Patrick Gower, he stands up on public television. He has a platform of privilege. He is paid by you and me, the taxpayers, and he names individuals. Online, he names individuals. And one of them was a young person that used to belong to this group. And he was targeted by Patrick Gower and labelled a white supremacist. And that young man is now dead. He took his life because of the actions of people like Patrick Gower, Mark Gelder, and SIFs. So after all this, there is no such thing as hate speech. Just remember, it's only speech that they do not want to hear.
Well, thank you very much. We're learning so much about each other, and we're learning how to trust each other and how to move through boundaries. So I want to invite you to have a look at the Muslim Declaration of Peaceful Intent, which is an opportunity for us to remove any doubt in our minds or worry or concern about threats or the worries and concerns that happen in Christchurch. And so I'm inviting Saeed to sign the document, which is the renunciation of the Quran's violent commands, because it's not implemented with that at this stage, and it's not excuse me, so I want to talk about this matter. As a Christian, very important. You're taking over.
This is my church. We're asking the question. Come with me and I'll have a look. I'm very happy to come. You come with me. Come with me. Come with me and I'm very happy to we want to talk to you later. This is not the
As I said, the point for our question and answers is to discuss the topic of this gathering, not to get involved in the political documents which are brought to us. So please stick with the point. Excuse me, just for a moment. Please, you're not allowed to film here.
Islamic prayers have been called over our parliament. Islamic prayers have been called over the radio waves over our country. And Jesus has been removed from the parliamentary prayer because it is too contentious and it is offensive. To whom is it offensive? Not 90% of this country's population. It is the Islamic way is only peaceful until the fanatics move in. So take a look at the restrictions on gun ownership in New Zealand and the forced buyback scheme. An immense and unconstituted reaction to the events of March 15 in Christchurch by a government that is intent on squashing our basic human rights, our rights to free speech, our rights to freedom of expression, our rights that are enshrined under the 1990 New Zealand Bill of Rights Act.
Hello, the people of Auckland. Well, here we are, the white supremacists of New Zealand, according to Patrick Gower and the lying New Zealand mainstream media. How do we get to this point where truth becomes lies and lies become truth? When did it become wrong to be right? We are living in the age of universal deceit, where telling the truth is fast becoming a revolutionary act of defiance. What they love to call toxic masculinity is the dehumanizing of the stand-up man in favor of the man who's fearful of offending anyone. Diversity is our strength, they keep telling us, but we know it's not true. And anyone who's against the demographic and cultural genocide is to be demonized and ruined by the government and their sycophantic journalists in the mainstream media. Patrick Gower. The New Zealand police are quickly becoming tools of the state to intimidate good, honest people in their own homes for their wrong-think political opinions. This includes myself being visited twice by fully armed police in Christchurch to ask me if I was a Trump supporter.
Our Western culture, our culture, is under threat from losing one of the most precious freedoms that we have, the freedom of speech itself. The ability to share our ideas, to put them out into the community and to share them, to have fights, to engage in ideological discourse. We find that one of the most basic freedoms is now under assault by the current government, who in 2017 started from the get-go to break down our freedoms. And so together we rise, and together we will make sure that our voice is heard. God bless you. God bless the nation of New Zealand.
Whether we like it or not, the agricultural sector in New Zealand is and always has been a significant backstay of the New Zealand economy. But it is not just an industry. It's a sector of our society made up of people who put their life, blood, sweat and tears into making that industry not just profitable for the country, but also the most efficient and environmentally friendly pastoral sectors in the world. We all know that New Zealand has an internationally deplorable suicide rate. Well, guess what? The rate among farmers is higher on average than any other sector per head of population. Maybe, just maybe, it's time our government and non-farming folk stopped and told the farmers what a great job they are doing and offer them a little bit of support and encouragement. An oppressive government is to be feared more than a tiger, they say. That's the Chinese Confucius. An oppressive government is to be feared more than a tiger. We must speak up and listen up and care what happens to New Zealand. And I want